Alright, greetings fellow souls. In this video we're just going to be having random chit chat about old digital cameras. Mainly because I happen to have a lot of them in my possession. No, I don't collect these anymore. Most of these I acquired back when I was a teenager. I don't buy them anymore. But apparently they've had a bit of resurgence of popularity, so here we go. We're going to have a look at some of the junk that I've been hoarding in my drawers for the last 12 years? Yeah, okay. First up, we're going to look at the oldest one. An Olympus Comedia digital camera C900 zoom. Now, this was a revolutionary camera for its time. It was one of the earlier examples to have removable flash storage. It had a 3x zoom lens. I think possibly being the first digital camera to have such a feature. It's 1.3 megapixels. Turning the flash on and off is as simple as simply lifting it up and clicking it back down, since you can hear a little switch in there. It's micro switched. Yeah, you have a digital shot counter at the top. You do have a digital viewfinder, which works just like one would on your smartphone camera. The type of flash storage that this camera uses is smart media, which is a very, very, very old type of flash card. We're going to have a look at those, because if we have a look over here, I have a whole caddy filled with them. This is a Jessop's MediaSafe, and this nice brushed metal box is filled with smart media cards. How do we get this thing open? There we go. Just press that down, lift that, and this is what they look like. They look very much like a SIM card, like what you put in your mobile phone. I've got some that are 64 megabytes, 32 megs. Ooh, that one's a whopping 128 megabytes, which I think may have been the largest size. And over here we have 2 megabytes. They operate typically at 3.3 volts. And I think in 1998, 2 megabytes was probably a reasonable size. I mean, the original PlayStation memory card for game saves was about 1 megabyte, so having 2 megabytes in something that flat was kind of impressive for the time. Yep, and I think the largest ones were about 128. I don't think 256 meg ones ever existed. But yep. Perhaps the most impressive thing of all about the smart media card, however, is the fact that they could be used in a flash path. Floppy disk adapter. Yeah, flash path floppy disk adapter. This is going to be cool. All you do is simply place your card in this side so that the contact is going this way in accordance to the instructions here. There we go. You would put 2 watch batteries in these compartments here. As you can see, we've done that there. Make sure that they haven't leaked. If you think about buying one of these flash paths, make sure that there hasn't been destroyed by a battery leak. And of course, once you installed it like that, you would just put it in your floppy drive and your computer could read them. And this was kind of essential at a time when we didn't have USB multi-card readers, because back then we didn't use USB, or very few computers had built-in USB ports. I think it was the iMac G3 that popularised the use of USB, because I think a lot of PC users were still using serial. Anyway, the Comedia has a floppy disk for the Macintosh. It has a floppy disk for Windows 95/98. Has a floppy disk for Windows 2000 Professional, which will probably work with Windows XP, and this one for Windows NT 4.0. I think there was another model made by another company, not by Olympus, but I think another brand, was it Nikon or something? And I think that actually could work under DOS Windows 3.x. But I don't have that one. I've just got the Olympus one, simply because I bought it for like 99 pence on eBay or something like that. One thing for sure, it would have costed more to have it delivered than to actually pay for the item itself. Some things are just like that, especially vinyl records. It costs more to have them sent than it does to actually pay for the item itself. Very disappointing when you are like a seller yourself. But yeah, that's the first camera. Next up we have another Olympus Comedia C120 150. This one doesn't work. It's broken. It won't boot. I need to do a repair on it. What makes this one different is it doesn't use smart media. It uses the next generation of camera flash cut technology. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to show you what that is. This is the XD picture card. It's smaller, higher capacity. At 0.5 GB in size, you could certainly store plenty of video and stills on there. And that's the thing that we're going to get to, because you would just press that in and press it out to eject. Easy. Not so much yanking and tugging like the smart media. Another thing to remember is that unlike the previous Comedia, you could only really do still shots. You could just do still photographs. But with the 150, it appears that you could do videos in QuickTime format. Yes, QuickTime compression. Ever heard of QuickTime compression? This was a big thing when I was a kid, because I remember all those Barnacle CD-ROMs and all those other CD-ROMs that you get in cereal boxes at the time. They often had QuickTime on them, because QuickTime video was just the boss. Early QuickTime was based around the Cinepak codec, which was similar to the FMV format for the Sega Saturn games console. Yep. And we also have digital 1.5 zoom. It's not 3x zoom, so it's actually a step back from the C900 that we just looked at. But we do have 2.0 megapixel effective QuickTime, and we have USB Auto Connect. It's USB, it's not serial, it's USB. Yeah, and that brings us back to the old camera. Now before USB, another way to get across is that if you didn't have a flash path for your floppy drive, you could use a bespoke serial cable that presumably would have been sold for the camera. Problem is, mine didn't come with such cable. So that's the analog video output to TV. That's the serial port that goes into your computer for data transfer. And that's a DC input. So yeah, with the earliest cameras you had a serial port. But these later ones, probably just about 2 years later, you'd get the serial being replaced with USB. And here's another thing, the covers on these will be rotten by now. If they're 25 years old or more, they will be rotten. They will just break away like that. Just so you know. Anyway, that looks suspiciously like the same USB connector as what was on was that the PSP? Is that the Sony PSP I'm looking at here? Because I've been doing surgery on one of those all week. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, okay, so this C150 has the same USB connector as the Sony PSP. And yeah, shell-wise it looks like a miniaturised version of the C900. It looks almost exactly alike. God, the autofocus on my smartphone is it is a turd. So I'm losing my temper. Yeah, the battery count's been smoothened as well. You got 2 batteries here. Whereas on the C900, it's kind of like the Nintendo Game Boy of cameras, it's like 4. Yep, and they have a standard tripod connector, which is always nice. Yeah, the video output's power on this. It's actually got an analog video output. Yep, 100% analog. Quite compact for an all-out analog camera. Well, the camera itself is actually digital and the optics are digital, but when you output it to a VCR or TV, it's going to be analog. Which is, of course, very nice. So while it doesn't actually have its own video input, you can connect it to a VCR and use it as a capture device, which I think is also really good. Yeah, I think I might mess around with that at some point, plugging this into a VCR camcorder, a VCR recorder. So I think that would be quite interesting. Right, going back to the C150. Well, we have the USB connector on that side. We're also going to have a look at the other connector. Like I said, these will be rotten. If you're going to mess around with 20-year-old technology, prepare for heartbreak. Yeah, we have yet another video output, and it's probably the same as the C900. And we have a DC input of 3.4 volts. Again, we have a digital viewfinder. We have a quick view button. We got a snapper up here. And that's more or less it. That's the two Olympus cameras that we have. Complete with their bits falling off. Okay, I think next up we're going to have a look at this Nikon. No, we're going to have a look at my old favourite. This I think is actually a good camera. It still is a good camera. Despite its age, it's still a good camera. 7.1 megapixels, picture quality is quite good. Compression's not too bad. The video compression is really good. The sound is mono, but I still think that the video compression is really good. It doesn't really look like it suffers from compression artifacts. I'm still impressed with it. I should note that it's built quite solidly. I accidentally dropped it on the pavement once and it fell apart. Loads of the internal bits went everywhere. But I reassembled it and it came back to life. That's why it's kind of splitting apart here, because of that incident. Problem is, it turns out that these are like very expensive now. On eBay, they're going for really, really silly money. They're like basically £200. I don't know what. I mean, I say it's a good camera, but I'm not saying it's going to be something that you can build a professional career on. So yeah, for a long time, this was my go-to camera. I did all my flower photography since 2015 up until maybe about 2022, I think. 2015 to 2022. I still think it's a great camera, but I'm quite happy with my Samsung smartphone now. The main thing that I'm a bit bummed off with these cameras is the battery consumption. And you can't really use rechargeables with them because they don't like it. They might power up for a very short time, but then they just automatically shut down or just show lots of bizarre, erratic behaviour. So yeah, powering them up is kind of expensive because you just have to keep buying Kodak Extra Lives or Duracells. Yeah, they're really fussy about what you feed them. They're like when you have a kid and it turns out that they hate just about everything you put on their plate. Yeah, they're like that. And also another issue is that the maximum size memory card you can put into is 2 gigabytes. You can't have any more than 2 gigs because it will just spit it back out in your eyeball. Yep, it's an SD though. Under here we have, again, analog video output, PSP style USB connector, and I think that's a power connector? I don't think it's serial because it's USB, yeah. Yeah, power port, probably DC input. Over on this side we have no slot. At the top we have a zoom slider for zooming in and out. We have a snapper. We've got lots of different shooting modes, which are great. It has a few built-in filters as well. One of my favourite ones was the colour swap, where you could choose a certain colour at what you were looking at, and then you could swap it out for something else. So you could do like these really psychedelic posterized images without having to use a computer or anything. It's quite cool. It's quite advanced for its time. It's called a PowerShop A620. And yeah, that's your viewfinder. It folds out. So yeah, you can do selfies if you so wish. That's pretty cool. You can do them at angles. One of my favourite things I used to like doing with this for fun was to actually put it on the ground in the grass or something. I put as low as I could. I'd put an action figure there. And I could just look at it like that. And I could do like these images where you would put an action figure and you would make them look like King Kong. Yeah. Like, yeah, you could do something like this. And then you could make it look as though Batman was as big as King Kong. And you could do these really close-up images, and it was just like really easy to do without like putting your face against the mud, because you could just actually see what you were doing from up here. Yeah, so this folding viewfinder was a really cool idea for the time. And of course, your first selfie camera. It was probably one of the first cameras to actually have a fold-out lens like that. But yeah, I've got so many happy memories with this camera. I don't think I'm ever going to sell it. It's the boss. So, if we want another camera that has a folding viewfinder, we're going to have a look at this thing. This is still in its box. Yep, a little black box of magic. I've not tried this one out actually. I don't think it works. It's actually my mother's old camera. She bought this brand new. I think she bought it in 2004. So it's probably about a year newer than the PowerShot that we just looked at. Anyway, she bought this thing new. I think she bought it from an online marketplace in Germany. No, she could have bought it from Aldi. I'm not sure now. Anyway, I think it's German. What's this? Digital video camcorder. It's MPEG 4 compression, not QuickTime. Has MP3. I'm not sure if you could actually play it as an MP3 player. Anyway, over here it's called a Lumicron. I think I tried to do a bit of Google searching on this and I didn't really go anywhere with it. I have a tripod connector down here. Again, you can fold it out. It's got a viewfinder. You can do selfies with it. It's quite a bit more, it's a bit more compact than the Canon, but I'm not sure if it had all the advanced image editing and like the solarizing and the sepia modes and lots of other cool things like that. It's quite compact for the time. I know she had it before 2005. Definitely before my younger sister was born. Again, it has the exact same style of PSP style USB connector. Has a headphone socket as well as an AV out. Mode, record play. I presume that's like zooming. I just wouldn't put a fingerprint on there because I'm that clever. But another issue is that this was probably the first generation of camera that started using the lithium batteries. Now, of course, that probably means that by now the battery's probably dead. It might not be all that easy to find a replacement for it. But on the plus side, it does mean that you don't have to keep forking out stupendous amounts for codec extra lives. Because honestly, these old digital cameras, they're kind of expensive to power up. Really expensive. I don't recommend them for that. Especially that PowerShot. I still don't know how I survived with that thing. Okay, so this is the manual for the Lumicron. Lumicron? Yeah, Lumicron. Ever heard of Lumicron? No, I haven't. It's a 6.6 megapixel enhanced MPEG-4 movie recorder. Now do bear in mind that I think a lot of people are still using those DV camcorders with the DV tapes. So again, this was kind of futuristic stuff. I know nothing about Lumicron, but I don't know why I keep thinking it's from Germany. I think because my mother's first computer was a Fujitsu Simon Scalo 400. It's like she kept buying all her tech from Germany. Maybe it was like cheaper back then or something. Or maybe she kept buying it from LD. I can't remember. I was 5 years old, for God's sake. Yeah, I just cursed. Yeah, okay, so we've got the manual and everything in there, but I still don't know the first flip about it. It doesn't work anyway. Right, we're going to go on to something a lot more fun. We're going to have a look at a flip video. Now, if you've never seen a flip video before, I don't know what to say. It has a really nice little red button in the middle. It's cute. It has an ejector port USB here, which that's originally what would happen is you press that down, it would automatically flip up like that, but it doesn't seem to work. It's like the spring's gone or something. Yeah, okay, so we've got analog TV output, tripod connector. I think that's on and off. Yeah, it's just called a flip video. That's all it's called. You've got a switch down here, you use that, and you can use that to put batteries in. Now the flip video has a load of built-in memory. It has no card slot, so you need to use the USB connector to plug it straight into your computer. Flip Video UK Limited. Yeah, this is probably the world's simplest digital video camera ever. It's so simple you don't even need a cable to plug in your computer. You just plug it in just like that. It's a little bit like something out of Hackers, you know, the Angelina Jolie film. Yeah, that one. It just reminds me of something like that. Yeah, it needs to be fixed up, but I believe it worked. I do remember doing some videos with it. I don't remember what the videos were though. But yeah, you got record, play, backwards, forwards, volume up and down, delete video. Yeah, I think that's kind of neat. It's very simple, but simplicity can be appreciable. And you got a wrist strap connector here. I bet you've never seen this kind of camera before. It's unusual. It's kind of cute. It does remind me a bit of Namco's Negicon controller. It's that Namco aesthetic to it. I think that's what I like about it. It reminds me of Namco. The good old days of Namco before Bandai swallowed them up. Yep. Now all the cameras that we've seen so far are either SD, XD. Yeah, I was even going to say that Lumicron camera, I didn't want to go back to that, but we're going back to that anyway. I believe it had a memory card slot. Was it SD? Where's the slot on this thing? There we go. Slot's down here. And just in case you didn't know what that was, it's going to be an SD. I 100% promise you it's going to be an SD slot. Ta-da! And you just press it and it comes out like that again. God dang this Lumicron. I don't like to be reminded of it. Probably because maybe because Mum just kept taking photographs of us kids too much. I don't know, I just don't like being reminded of that camera. I love this one though. Now this is the digital camera of all cameras. If you're just buying digital cameras for the sake of retro nostalgia, this is the one you gotta buy. It's not the best, in fact it's the worst. It's got the shittiest compression. It's the lowest resolution of them all. It does have a movie function, but there's no sound on it. The movies are really, really tiny. They're like 320 by 240 or smaller. I think the smallest mode was 120 by 160. I think everything was compressed using QuickTime again. It's from about 2002, but this was one of the first low budget cameras. It was designed to be as cheap as possible. It uses XD, so it's a bit older than the SDs, but thankfully it's not using smart media. It is new enough to have a USB port, but again, it's not the PSP style, it's something else completely different. It has a 3-volt connector. I'm not sure if it's the same type as what was used on the Game Boy Color. So again, it's gonna be a bit more advanced than a Game Boy camera, but it's still really low budget. I need to do a video about this camera. This thing is so crap, it's awesome. Yes, it is actually colour, but seriously, the compression on this thing is wow. It's not quite Sega Mega CD, but I'd say it's maybe a bit like Sega Saturn Cinepack. I'd say most of the Duck True Motion FFVs looked better than this. This thing is so crap, it's awesome. I love it. You're gonna love it too when I do a full video about it. Anyway, it's called a Fujifilm FinePix A202, but there's nothing fine about this FinePix. This is digital, chunky, clunky, low-res photos and silent movies. I love this thing. I need to put a heart emoji on this. I love you. I think it might be my second favourite camera, right after this one. Now this one I love it because it's respectable, but this one I love it because it's so warped and crazy, and it's just so cheap and nasty. I love it. It's beautiful, and the things it makes are also beautiful. The most beautiful poops I've ever seen. I love it. Right, the next camera we're going to have a look at is a Nikon Coolpix 3200. I don't remember a lot about it. For some reason I was thinking it used compact flash cards. It doesn't, it's another SD card. I do remember having a load of Nikon cameras that used compact flash, but I think I must have got rid of them all. Probably because it's impossible to find a power supply unit for them. They take a silly amount of batteries. No, actually, I think they use those lithium cell batteries. You know, those funny barrel batteries that are used for like those Minolta 35mm cameras. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's actually an SD card, not compact flash. So again, we have SD, AA batteries, tripod. It has an AV output and a USB connector, which again, okay, this one doesn't hinge, it swings out like that. Anyway, it turns out that the AV output and the USB connector is the same port. So you're going to need to find an AV cable that has this connector if you want to use it as output. So again, I don't think it's analog output, but I don't know. We have a snapper, there's no zoom on this, just a snapper. We have the on and off switch here. Zooming in and out can be done via these keys. Again, we have a movie mode, we have still shots, we've got a few other shooting modes. We have a setup. Yeah, it's like a little jog dial. It's cute. Up, down. Yeah. I don't remember a whole lot about this camera. I think it was a respectable performer. It's probably from about 2004 or maybe early 2005. I think it was respectable. It's not quite as culty and junky as the A202, but it's it doesn't require quite as many batteries as the A620, so it's probably a good all-round camera. You could probably buy one of these on eBay and you probably wouldn't be disappointed with it. But I don't think it had anything particularly unusual, quirky, or any particular talking points, but I think it's respectable. It's compact. Very compact. Yeah, on the subject of those crazy lithium barrel batteries, this is not a digital camera, but this is another thing that my mother gave me. You've probably seen a short video of this on my channel before, but it's a Minolta Riva Zoom 140X. It's not a digital camera, it's a full-on roll battery before we had digital cameras, we would use these old film rolls. These are just not quite as easy as to get off as they ought to be. But yeah, before we had memory cards, we had to use these. I remember my mother using this all the time when we were at the beach. All the time she would use this thing. But I'll tell you one thing, back in 1995, this thing costed £400. Yeah, you could buy a Sega Saturn for the price of one of these. This thing was crazy, and yeah, she paid that money for it. Don't regret it though. This thing was just way awesome. I'd like to have a go with it at some point. But, yeah, these are expensive to run. They are really expensive to run. And again, on the subject of roll cameras, we also have this Flush Dude, which was on the budget side of having a camera. 35mm film camera. This is a Boots Flash Dude. They were made by Boots. You bought them in Boots. Made in Hong Kong, so it was made sometime before 1997. You could turn your flash on and off like that. Really simple to use. Ready for action. It's point and shoot. Really simple to use. But yeah. The Flash Dude is actually nice because unlike most cameras at the time, you could actually just use ordinary AA batteries. That's why I kept this, because I was like, how often do you find 35mm cameras that use ordinary AA batteries? Most of them didn't. Instead, most of them used the lithium batteries. They're wider than AA batteries. They're wider, but they're short. Wide and short. If I were to compare them to an actual AA battery, right? Here's a AA Kodak Extra Life. Now, I'm probably guilty of murdering about 500 of these because, wow, that was what my A620 was like. No, probably more than that. I'll probably say I devoured about 750 of these between 2015 and 2022. Anyway, these cell batteries that the Minolta used, you could probably cut the yellow top off this, make it shorter, but they were a bit wider. They're about that wide. Thicker than a AA, but still a bit thicker, a bit thinner than a C cell. Yeah. And that's why they're so expensive to run, in addition to the fact that you also had to go to a specialist photo store that would process the rolls for you. And since these digital cameras became popular, a lot of those shops have closed down because nobody would actually expect anyone, maybe except for the professional people, to be using 35mm roll cameras. Yep. And this brings us down to our last two digital cameras for this video. I say last two. Actually, it should be three actually, because I know we're missing another Fujifilm. I've got to go look for that. But anyway, first one we have here is a Sony Cybershot. Yep, Sony Cybershot. This thing is, it's got 3x zoom optical lens. Yep. Something's melting on this, not sure. Alright, again, this uses AA batteries, but the memory card is like a memory stick. This is the memory stick that the Sony cameras used at the time. But no, it doesn't use the old memory stick, it actually uses the rather more compact memory stick. It's the same kind of memory stick that the PSP used. You know, the PSP games console. I've got some of these somewhere. This. A memory stick duo. Not memory stick, but a memory stick duo. Yep, it's called a duo, even though it's only half the size compared to the original memory stick. You might remember that these were used on the Sony PSP as well. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how the Sony PSP had so much in common with the old digital cameras. Yeah, getting this out is going to be easy. How the shit do we get this out? I feel like this packing's going to break, it's going to splinter, and I'm going to cut my fingers open. I think it's going to cut my wrists. It wants to murder me. Anyway, this is the kind of memory card that these Sony Cybershots used. And again, just like the XD picture card, or the SDs of that time, you would put it in like that, push it in until you hear that click. And then if you want to get it out, you just press down on it and it ejects like that. Simple. You put AA batteries in there. You have a tripod connector here. 3x optical zoom. We have an AV out, which, funny enough, is not the PSP USB connector. It's just something smaller. Again, if this looks wet, it's because it's melting. This is the horrible thing about buying digital cameras. You get parts that go sticky or sweaty or mouldy and just yucky. If they don't just rot and crumble, then they just go all sticky. It's horrible when they do that. And yeah, you might actually just about see some of that residue. Yep, there you go, you can see all those sticky globules there. That's another thing to bear in mind if you're going to buy old digital cameras. They go all sticky and yucky. Right, 7.2 megapixels, power, lots of different shooting modes. Zoom in and out, playback. Probably uses some variant of MPEG-4 for the video compression, unlike the old QuickTime cams, which I find more interesting myself. Yep. So that's the first Cybershot. The other Cybershot we have is a bit older. It's a 4.1 megapixel. And I believe this one uses the old style of memory stick. I think it goes in like this. Yeah, AA batteries like that. So you do need to bear in mind there was quite a few, over its lifespan, there was quite a few different versions. You had the Memory Stick Duo. I think the Pro Duo had a high capacity. Magic Gate was a kind of digital rights management, I think. It was like copy protection. Probably in case you put an MP3 and like, you know, you had music from copyrighted artists. Something like that. I'm aware that memory sticks can come into capacities of about 128 gigabytes. Yeah, I think 128 gigabytes is a reasonable standard now. But I'd be very surprised if these older cameras will actually recognise that capacity. At best, I think this thing would probably only go up to about 8 gigabytes. And even then, I'm not sure. Right, so this one has that kind of rounded look. It's got a bit of that Y2K look about it. Again, we've got a tripod down here. I think that's a microphone. These dots, I think, are a microphone. Thankfully, this one doesn't have those gooey, rubbery bits. Well, actually, it does have one set. I think it's actually hard plastic, though. It's not actually rubber, which is nice. Is it plastic? Yeah, it's actually hard plastic. So thankfully this isn't going to go all gooey and yucky. Right, again, this actually has the PSP connector, even though it uses the older non-PSP style memory stick. Okay, so you're either going to get Sonys that have a PSP USB. Oh, I'm confused. Either you're going to get the ones that have a PSP style memory stick but a non-PSP style USB connector, or you're going to have the ones that have a non-PSP style memory card but do have a PSP style USB connector. Yeah, it's confusing. Even I'm confused. Please work it out for me. Right, after that you've got AV out, which is mono audio. We have a DC input, which is like really weird. There's a really weird style of DC input. It's proprietary. I think the Panasonic Lumix cameras had a proprietary connector like this. It's weird. You might just be better off using AA batteries. Anyway, we've got a menu button here. We've got video mode, photo mode, or playback. So that's to view what you've already shot. That's to do photos, and that's to do the movies. So yeah, they're nice and simple to use. I recommend this one because at least you know I ain't gonna go gooey. Yeah. I remember using this, but I do not remember what I used it for. You do have MPEG Movie, so it's not exactly QuickTime. That's a smart zoom mode. Right, let's go find that last camera before we wrap the video up. And here it is. Prepare for an aesthetic overdose. I'm going to kill you. Isn't it gorgeous? It's blue and silver. It's Fujifilm as well. It's not quite as shitty as the A202 and it's not as awesome for it. But you do get this lovely blue-silver aesthetic. Everything looked like that back then, you know? Even the old Nokia phones looked like that. That blue and silver thing. We had other Nokia phones that had that blue and silver thing. Even the bag that it came in had that blue and silver thing. I got this cassette player that also did that blue and silver thing. We had this really awesome pop star. He also did this blue and silver thing. I really like this guy a lot. He did that blue and silver thing. Even on his cassette tapes, he also did that blue and silver thing. Yeah. We even actually had a whole laptop that did this blue and silver thing. Isn't it cool? It's kind of like navy blue and silver. And I'll show you even more of this blue and silver thing. Aesthetic overdose, man. It's that blue and silver Y2K thing. I'm murdering you guys with it. How far out can we reach for this? This is getting too far out, Vic. It's that blue and silver thing. You know what else also did that blue and silver thing? Oh, this multi-card reader. It's that blue and silver thing again. I mean, even that flash path adapter did that kind of blue and silver thing. We've even got some multi-card readers that sort of did that blue and silver thing. Varying degrees. It's that blue and silver thing. Oh, hang on, look, we've even got an SD card that did that blue and silver thing. We all just love this blue and silver thing. Oh yeah, it's another one of these blue and silver things. Maybe, just maybe, I've got a few more extra blue and silver things than the rest of you. Oh yeah, I think I do actually. I've got more of this blue and silver thing. Did I mention Sony Cybershot? How about Sony PlayStation? Cybersled! No, that's Cybershot. Cybersled. Yeah, it's even got a bit of that blue and silver thing. Oh yeah, going back to the blue and silver thing. That's it, we're talking about the last camera of the video, aren't we? Yeah. 5.1 megapixels. CCD. Super CCD? I don't even know what that means. Oh, it uses XD picture card. So it's just like this beautifully shitty thing. I love this thing. If it got shittier, I'd love it even more. Because it's shit for the right reasons and not shit for the wrong reasons. This thing is gorgeous. This thing is aesthetically rather more gorgeous. So we've got power button, we've got the shooting button, cards, PSP style USB connector, we have a video output, and we have a DC input 3 volts. Up here we have a lever for zooming in and out, goes up and down. We have a viewfinder. We have the playback button to see what we've already shot, what's been stored on the card. We have a menu OK button, we have a display button that goes back. Yeah, we have a tripod connector. And yeah, that's it. That's kind of everything. We could have a look over here and have a look at all the different cards that we've gone through. This is the compact flash style card. There are a lot of cameras that use this, although we don't seem to use them anymore. Nikon usually use them a lot, especially for their Coolpix line of cameras. Not the 3200, but other ones. I think the A400, is it 8400, that use them. But I think these days most people just use these for their Amigas. Commodore Amigas can use them if you've got the right adapter for it. This is an adapter that allows you to use higher capacity memory sticks with the older cameras. So if you've got any videos that you snapped using this, you can just take them out like that, put them in the adapter, and then you can possibly put them in your older Cybershot, and you might just about be able to see what's in there like that. So that's cool. That's a cool thing to have. Kind of bridges the barriers between all these different formats. That's kind of the thing. If you're going to start collecting digital cameras, you're going to have to collect all the cards from Smart Media. Oh wow, it's the packing slip for an old Smart Media. 64 megabytes. It's kind of big. I think most of you should know what this is. These are a relatively modern thing. It's a Samsung microSD adapter. With this, you should be able to use your microSD cards and some of your older cameras. I have used 2GB microSDs in this. I have used them in the A620 and they do work. You can go up to 2GB and it will certainly work. But 8 gigs definitely will not work, so don't go there. This is a multi-card reader. This is a good thing to have if you're messing with old digital cameras, because it gives you lots of options. You should be able to plug in all your old cards into a modern computer. It may work on OTG, I've not tried it. I'd like to think it might work on OTG. I've not tried it. I'm not making any promises. It might not work. I don't know. What other cards do we have? Oh look, 8 megabyte SD. The SD card has had such a long life. And even today you can get them in I think you can get them in a terabyte. You can get an SD card in 1 terabyte capacities. And you know what the funny thing is? Essentially it's still the same format. Damn, these things have been around for a long time. So yeah, we've got an 8 meg and a 16 meg. And we just know that this thing goes all the way back to the days. Not of that. Nikon Coolpix used it. Was it this thing? No, that's the XD. XD picture card with A2 to 202. No, these are probably what you'll use with Nikon Coolpix. I don't know what the actual capacity of this is. It might go to 2 gigabytes, it might not. might want to use a USB hub if you want to use like loads of these cards. Yeah, if you don't have a USB port and you're using a really old laptop like the Toshiba satellites, then you're going to need this, because before we had USB ports we had PCMCIA slots. Now this was a little card slot you would typically find at the side of your laptop. Like this. You see it at the side of your laptop here. Yeah, this is a Fujitsu Siemens V230 Milo Pro. Milo Pro? Milo Pro. So we're just going to do that. We're going to get our card reader out. This is essential if you don't have a USB port, because, you know, if you're going to be using an ancient camera, you might as well be using an ancient laptop. Okay, these are a bit weird to use. You put it in your slot like that, and there you go. Once it was in, you weren't going to get it back out unless you've got the ejector button. So you just press that once, it sticks out like a sore thumb. You press it again, and that ejects your card like that. So there's one that we ejected earlier. Right, so this card will read Smart Media, XD, SD, memory stick, as well as its Pro variants, and the multimedia card. Multimedia cards are similar to the SD, but they're thinner. They're thinner, they're flatter, and you don't have these plastic raisings over the contacts. Yeah, the contacts were slightly aligned differently as well. They're not very common. I can't think of any cameras that actually use them. I know one person who had such a card. I don't know what they actually used it in though. I don't think they gave it to me either, so I probably can't show it either. So yeah. The multimedia card is a bit like an SD, but it wasn't directly compatible. It was really quite a different animal. Yeah, so we can put in the SD. We can put in the Memory Stick Pro Duo, given that it's got the appropriate adapter. We can put in the XD picture card, which is great if you're going to be using the A202, because that thing is so bad it's awesome. Yeah, you need to line them up carefully before you just shove them in, because the lineup of like a multi-port hole like that is, you can't expect it to be totally guided. You're going to have to be a bit careful. And of course we have the that ancient card that I don't remember the name of. Smart Media. Yep, I don't feel so smart now. And there you go, you can put in all those cards, but you can't put in the compact flash card. You need something else for that again. So, now actually the compact flash adapter cards are actually quite easy to find. They're not quite as rare as these multi-cards, but they're about. Hi guys, did I mention that blue-silver thing was like really popular at the time? Yep, this is compact flash at 512 megabytes. They're, pretty sure I've got a 2 gigabyte card somewhere. Anyway, so we have that. Being dated 2003, that's a pretty high capacity card for the time. It's half a gigabyte, man. I mean, bear in mind that hard drives at the time clocked in at around about 20 to 30 gigabytes, so that's kind of big for a little flash card. Anyway, so generally speaking, if you're going to be messing with these cameras, you're going to want these if you're not going to use a USB port. One for your compact flash, and another one for every other card. Now then, that wraps things up. By the way, you might also want to invest in one of these battery boxes, because you do know that AA batteries. Kodak Extra Life is the only way to power some of these. Yep, you're going to need a real battery box for this. And that's it. That's probably everything you need to know about ancient video cameras and the pain that they give you. And if they're not painful, they just get kind of gooey and yucky. But yeah, I think for retroness, with a bit of respect, I'd say go for the Olympus C900 Zoom. If you want a seriously cool bit of kit, but it's going to cost you an arm and leg, I'd go for a Canon A620. And if you want something that is seriously cult, well, I'm just going to do a video about the Fujifilm A202 because this thing rocks for just how bad it is. And if you just want a talking point, go for a flip video. And if aesthetic is the only thing you want, then I'd just say this one, the Fujifilm Finepix A500. So yeah, it's going to be mainly either Fujifilm or Olympus. Although that one Canon is very nice if you want to sell your kidney. Okay. And then maybe in the next video we can have a look at these flip phone cameras, because those also give you remarkably, wonderfully shitty picture and video quality also, perhaps without costing you an arm and leg in terms of AA batteries. Okay, rock on, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, fellow souls.